Hello everybody, good morning to all. So last class at ami history chapter number 3 in the earliest cities এই chapter to ami start korisilo reading kori asilo ami chapter to বহুত দিগলিয়া হয় chapter to so ami last video ইয়াৰ আধালৈকে আমি read কৰিছিলো I think আমি এইখিনি লৈকে আমাৰ পঢ়া হৈছিল ৰিড কৰা হৈছিল সো আজি যোনখিনি পিছৰ আছে আমাৰ সেইখিনি আমি আজি ৰিডিং কৰিম তাৰপিছত আমি এক্সপ্লেইন কৰিম আমি ডিসকাস কৰিম চ্যাপ্টাৰটো গোটেই কি আছে কি ক'ব বিচাৰিছে চ্যাপ্টাৰটোত কাৰ বিষয়ে কোৱা আছে এই কথাখিনি আমি ডিসকাস কৰিম ওকে So first আমি ৰিডিং কৰি লম যৰ পৰা আমি লাষ্ট ক্লাছত এৰিছিলো আই থিংক আমি ইয়াতে এৰিছিলো লাষ্ট ক্লাছত তো বাকিখিনি আজি আমি পঢ়িম কি দিয়া আছে ফাৰ্স্ট ইয়াতে in search of raw materials okay raw materials are substances that are either found naturally such as wood or ores of metals or produced by farmers or herders. These are then processed to produce finished goods. For example, cotton produced by farmers is a raw material that may be processed to make cloth. Okay. While some of the raw materials that the Harappans used were available locally many times, such as copper, tin, gold, silver, and precious stones had to be brought from distant places. The Harappans probably got copper from present-day Rajasthan and even from Oman in West Asia. Tin, which was mixed with copper to produce bronze, may have been brought from present-day Afghanistan and Iran. Gold could have come all the way from present-day Karnataka and precious stones from present-day Gujarat, Iran, and Afghanistan. Food for people in the cities. While many people lived in the cities, others living in the countryside grew crops and reared animals. These farmers and herders supplied food to crafts, persons, scribes, and rulers in the cities. We know from remains of plants that the Harappans grew wheat, barley, pulses, peas, rice, sesame, linseed, and mustard. A new tool, the plough, was used to dig the earth for turning the soil and planting seeds, while real ploughs, which were probably made of wood, have not survived. Toy models have been found as this region does not receive heavy rainfall. Some form of irrigation may have been used. This means that water was stored and supplied to the fields when the plants were growing. The Harappans reared cattle, sheep, goat, and buffalo. Water and pastures were available around settlements. However, in the dry summer months, large herds of animals were probably taken to greater distances in search of grass and water. They also collected fruits like bear, caught fish, and hunted wild animals like the antelope. A closer look Harappan towns in Gujarat. The city of Dholavira was located on Khadir Bed, also spelled as Bet, in the run of Kutch, where there was fresh water and fertile soil, unlike some of the other Harappan cities, which were divided into two parts. Dholavira was divided into three parts, and each part was surrounded with massive stone walls, with entrances through gateways. There was also a large open area in the settlement where public ceremonies could be held. Other finds include large letters of the Harappan script that were carved out of white stone and perhaps inlaid in wood. This is a unique find as generally Harappan writing has been found on small objects such as seals. The city of Lothal stood beside a tributary of the Sabarmati in Gujarat, close to the Gulf of Khambat. It was situated near areas where raw materials such as semi-precious stones were easily available. This was an important center for making objects out of stone, steel, and metal. There was also a storehouse in the city. Many seals and ceilings, the impression of seals on clay, were found in this storehouse. A building that was found here was probably a workshop for making beads, pieces of stone, half made beads. Tools for bead making and finished beads have all been found here. Seals and sealings. Seals may have been used to stamp bags or packets containing goods that were sent from one place to another. After a bag was closed or tied, a layer of wet clay was applied on the knot and the seal was pressed on it. The impression of the seal is known as a sealing. If the sealing was intact, one could be sure that the goods had arrived safely. Seals are used even today. Find out what they are used for. The mystery of the end. Around 3900 years ago, we find the beginning of a major change. People stopped living in many of the cities. Writing, seals, and weights were no longer used. Raw materials brought from long distances became rare. In Mohenjo-daro, we find that garbage piled up on the streets, the drainage system broke down, and new, less impressive houses were built, even over the streets. Why did all this happen? We are not sure. Some scholars suggest that the rivers dried up, others suggest that there was deforestation. This could have happened because fuel was required for baking bricks and for smelting copper ores. Besides grazing by large herds of cattle, sheep and goat may have destroyed the green cover. In some areas there were floods, but none of these reasons can explain the end of all the cities. Flooding or a river drying up would have had an effect in only some areas. It appears as if the rulers lost control. In any case, the effects of the change are quite clear. Sites in Sindh and West Punjab, present day Pakistan, were abandoned, while many people moved into newer, smaller settlements to the east and the south. New cities emerged about 1400 years later. You will read about them in chapter 5 and 8. Elsewhere, find Egypt in your atlas. Most of Egypt is a dry desert except for the lands along the river Nile. Around 5000 years ago, kings ruled over Egypt. These kings sent armies to distant lands to get gold, silver, ivory, timber, and precious stones. They also built huge tombs known as pyramids. When they died, the bodies of kings were preserved and buried in these pyramids. These carefully preserved bodies are known as mummies. A large number of objects were also buried with them. These included food and drink, clothes, ornaments, utensils, musical instruments, weapons, and animals. Sometimes even serving men and women were buried with the rulers. These are amongst the most elaborate burials known in world history. So, এইখিনি আছিল আমাৰ এইটো থাৰ্ড চেপ্টাৰটো in the earliest cities. Earliest cityবিলাকত কি আছিলে, কি ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট আছিলে সেইবিলাক, মানুহবিলাকে কেনেকৈ থাকিছিলে, মানুহবিলাকৰ most of houses মানে ঘৰবিলাক কেনেকুৱা আছিলে, ৰাস্তা ঘাট, ড্ৰেইনেজ কেনেকুৱা ছিষ্টেমৰ আছিলে আগতে হৰপ্পান, যেতিয়া হৰপ্পা সভ্যতা আছিলে তেতিয়া ৰ মেটেৰিয়েলছ কেনেকুৱা ৰ মেটেৰিয়েলছ আছিলে, ফুড ফৰ দ্য পিপল ইন দ্য চিটিজ কি ধৰণৰ খাদ্য তেওঁলোকে খাইছিলে, এই কথাবিলাক ইয়াতে দিয়া আছে এই চেপ্টাৰটোত। হৰপ্পা সভ্যতাত মানুহে কেনেধৰণে থাকিছিলে, খাইছিলে, ৰাস্তা ঘাট কেনেকুৱা আছিলে, ঘৰ কেনেকুৱা আছিলে, এইবোৰৰ বিষয়ে এই চেপ্টাৰটোত কোৱা আছে। চ' নেক্সট ভিডিঅ'ত আমি এইখিনি ডিছকাছ কৰিম, এক্সপ্লেইন কৰিম আছামিজত কি দিয়া আছে আমি ভালদৰে। অ'কে, চ' আজিৰ কাৰণে থেংক ইউ।